The windshield wipers squealed against the glass as I gripped the steering wheel tighter. The mountain road twisted ahead of me like a black serpent, illuminated only by my headlights cutting through sheets of rain. My phone had lost signal 20 miles back, and the GPS had given up somewhere near the abandoned gas station I'd passed an hour ago. Should have taken the interstate, I thought, but it was too late now. The back roads through the Red Creek were supposed to be a shortcut to my sister's wedding rehearsal. Instead, they'd become my nightmare. Thunder crashed overhead, and I flinched as lightning briefly lit up the towering pines that pressed against the narrow road. The trees seemed to lean inward, their branches reaching like gnarled fingers trying to snatch my car from the asphalt. That's when I saw the figure. A man stood on the side of the road, thumb extended, completely soaked by the relentless downpour. My first instinct was to drive past. Picking up hitchhikers in the middle of nowhere during a storm was the beginning of every horror story I'd ever heard. But something made me slow down. Maybe it was the way the man stood perfectly still despite the wind and rain. Maybe it was how his thumb remained extended at exactly the same angle, as if he'd been frozen in that position. Or maybe it was the fact that when the lightning flashed, the man cast no shadow. I told myself I was imagining things. The storm, the isolation, the exhaustion from driving for hours. It was all playing tricks on my mind. I pulled over. The passenger door opened before I could even reach for the unlock button. The hitchhiker slid into the seat with fluid, unnatural grace, bringing with him the smell of wet earth and something else, something rotting. "Thank you," the man said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've been waiting so long." I glanced at my passenger and immediately wished I hadn't. The man's skin was pale, almost translucent, with dark veins visible underneath. His eyes were completely black, not just the pupils but the entire eye, like looking into two deep wells. Water dripped from his clothes, but instead of pooling on the seat, it seemed to disappear into the fabric. Where are you headed?" I managed to ask, my voice cracking. The hitchhiker turned his head toward me with a wet, grinding sound, like bones scraping against stone. "The same place you are," he said. "The same place we're all going." I pressed the accelerator, desperate to reach civilization, to drop off my passenger and pretend this night had never happened. But the road seemed to stretch endlessly ahead, and the mile markers weren't making sense anymore. I'd passed mile 47 3 times now. "You're lost," the hitchhiker observed, though his lips barely moved when he spoke. "The GPS is just acting up because of the storm," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "We'll hit the main road soon." "There is no main road anymore," the hitchhiker said. "Not for you, not after you stopped." My hands were shaking now. "What do you mean?" The hitchhiker's head rotated 90 degrees to face me fully, a movement that should have been impossible. "You want to know what I mean? I'll show you." Suddenly I could see other cars on the road. Dozens of them, their headlights cutting through the darkness ahead and behind. But as I watched, the cars began to slow, to stop, and one by one their lights went out. "They all stopped," the hitchhiker whispered. "Just like you, every single one of them saw me standing in the rain and they couldn't help themselves, couldn't drive past someone who needed help." "Who are you?" I asked, though I was afraid I already knew the answer. The hitchhiker smiled, revealing teeth that were too sharp and too numerous. "I'm the last thing most people see on this road." The car's interior began to grow cold, and I could see my breath fogging in front of me. Ice started forming on the inside of the windows, despite the car's heater running at full blast. "I died on this road 47 years ago," the hitchhiker continued. "Car accident, just like the one you're about to have. Thrown from my vehicle right at mile marker 47. Been walking this stretch ever since, waiting for rides from people just like you." I looked at the speedometer. The needle was climbing even though my foot was steady on the gas. 60, 70, 80 mph. The wheel was becoming harder to control, as if invisible hands were fighting me for steering. "The thing about being dead," the hitchhiker said conversationally, "is that you get lonely, so very lonely, and the only way to make friends is to bring them along." The car hit the guardrail at 90 mph. I felt the vehicle leave the road, felt the sickening sensation of weightlessness as we sailed through the air. Below us, the mountainside dropped away into absolute darkness. Above us, lightning illuminated the storm clouds like veins of silver fire. In those final moments, as the car tumbled through space, I heard the hitchhiker laugh, a sound like breaking glass mixed with screaming wind. And then everything went black. I woke up 3 days later in Mercy General Hospital, my body wrapped in bandages and connected to machines that beeped constantly. The doctors called it a miracle. The search and rescue team had found me thrown clear of the wreckage at the bottom of Deadman's Ravine, barely clinging to life, but somehow still breathing. Broken ribs, punctured lung, severe concussion, internal bleeding. I should have been dead. The car was completely destroyed, crushed like a tin can against the rocks below. But here I am alive, telling you this story from my hospital bed. The doctors say I was delirious for the first 2 days, screaming about a hitchhiker, begging them to check mile marker 47. They think it was the head trauma talking. The police report shows no evidence of a passenger in my vehicle. No second body was found. No blood on the passenger seat. But I know what I saw. I know what happened in that car. The nurses think I'm still recovering from my head injury. They smile sympathetically when I try to tell them about the hitchhiker, about the impossible things I saw. Even my own family exchanges worried glances when I bring it up. But I know the truth, and I know why I survived when so many others didn't. I wasn't meant to die that night. I was meant to live, to remember, to warn people. Because the mountain road through Blackwood is still there on every map and GPS system. Mile marker 47 is still standing. And on stormy nights when the rain falls hard and the lightning illuminates the spaces between the trees, that thing is still out there. Still waiting. Still hitchhiking. I've tried to get the road closed. I've contacted local authorities, sent letters to the state highway department, even started an online petition. But nothing works. The road stays open, and people keep taking that shortcut through the mountains. Last week, another car went off the road at mile marker 47. A young couple this time. They found the wreckage, but just like always, there was no explanation for why they lost control on a clear night. I wanted to attend the funeral, to tell their families what really happened. But who would believe me? A man in a hospital bed, still recovering from his own accident, claiming supernatural forces are killing people on a mountain road. So instead, I'm telling you, all of you, because maybe if enough people hear this story, maybe if word spreads, fewer people will take that shortcut. Maybe fewer good people will make the mistake of showing kindness to a stranger who should have stayed dead. The road keeps its secrets, the mountain keeps its dead. And somewhere out there, in the rain and the darkness, something that looks like a man is still standing at mile marker 47, waiting for the next car to slow down. Don't stop, please. No matter how bad the storm gets, no matter how desperate that figure looks standing in the rain, don't stop. Because some acts of kindness come with a price you're not prepared to pay. I was lucky I survived to tell you this. Others weren't so fortunate. Don't let there be any more.